Some Old Man, back again. It's Tuesday, April 27th. Today, rather than go out in the garden, as I usually do, I wanted to go ahead and talk about my new cell phone. You see, I was perfectly happy with my old cell phone, except the charging port was getting more and more messed up. You could plug something in, and if you wiggled it just right, it would get a connection and start feeding power into the device. But no matter how carefully you put it down, it'd probably jiggle loose as you let go. I would have to futz with it for 10 minutes just to get it to where it was sitting still on the table and taking a charge. And it's usually when the thing is most needed that I needed to get it charged the most, because it'd be dead. So I decided finally it was time to go ahead and order my new phone. Now that brings up a couple of questions. One, why is equipment like this so prone to failure? If not the charging port, it's a screen's crack or whatever it is. Now, I won't say that we've had phones that lasted forever, but I remember our very first cell phone, it was a little flip phone, back in 2001, lasted, well, we finally ended up retiring it from service because the phone company said, well, we no longer support that phone because it was such an early generation of communications. Instead, we moved up to another phone, and about 3 years later, had to get a new phones just because they started, being problems. And it's been like that ever since. Every 2 or 3 years, we get phones. And that doesn't even talk about phones that we have to repair because, i.e., there's a cracked screen or something else goes wrong. Fortunately, usually when those things happen, we've gotten common sense enough to go ahead and get the protection plans so that they're all covered. But this old phone of mine is just aging out. It's, like I said, over 3 years old now, and it's short of memory in addition to not having the charging port working. I could live without, the memory. It just restricts me from downloading additional apps, taking more photographs, and leaving them on the phone while I continue doing my daily business. Now, the problem is with the old phone, I remember using it for videoing in the garden once, and I had a session maybe about 8 minutes long, 10 minutes, and the memory was just about full. I couldn't do anything else except download it to the computer. Well, that phone had 32 gigabytes. This phone has 256 gigabytes. I don't think I'm going to be running out for a little while. Admittedly, the pixel resolution on the cameras is a little higher, so it will go through the memory a little faster, but I'm not as worried about it because I've got 8 times as much memory. Now, I will still have the practice of uploading my pictures as soon as I'm finished taking them and deleting them off the phone, because really it's just a device to get pictures into the system so that I can go ahead and manipulate them on the computer. But that brings up another point. Yes, consumer goods don't last. I know that they're designed that way. If they really wanted to, they could build an indestructible phone that would last as long as you wanted to keep it. But they don't, so we're stuck with that. But the other thing that really bugs me is how inconvenient it is to go from one device to another. Yes, unlike the last time I had to upgrade my phone where I had to move everything manually, this time they had a nice little app that moved everything for me, except it didn't catch everything. It didn't move a lot of the passwords. It didn't move some of the applications. So it took me about an hour once I got the new phone taken care of to figure out how to do what I needed to do. And then when I was getting ready to transfer the data and such, it said, oh, but you can't do this until the phone is charged. Of course, so I had to wait for about an hour and a half to finish charging the phone. Fortunately, the port on this one works really well so far. Then, after I was charged, I said, okay, now let's go ahead and do the transfer. And miracle of miracles, it worked and didn't give me any problems. It only took about half an hour. But when it finished, I started exploring. Well, it didn't log me into all of my applications, the ones that had actually transferred. And it didn't set up my desktop the way that I had it on the old phone. So I sat for another hour moving icons from the general pool onto my personal desktop to get them as closely as I could to the previous one. Couldn't do it exact because for some reason the way the pixels are an array of 4 across on the new phone instead of 5 across on the old phone. So I had to make some compromises, but in general I was happy with what came out. And then I had to go through for 2 or 3 more hours as I went ahead and, okay, can I log in with this? Okay, what was the password on that? Because it was just in the phone's memory. I ended up changing passwords and doing a whole lot of stuff. And I still have one password to control my solar panels, my Telsa wall, that doesn't want to log in. But I'll get there, I know. It's just, and I haven't even gone out to the truck to try making sure it communicates with the truck, but I'm not too worried about that because I've swapped phones with that before. It's just a hassle, I'll deal with it. But I want to ask you, have you had to deal with having to upgrade a device? What kind of experience have you had with changing things around? It's not something you do every day, so it's not something you remember from time to time. And then the worst part is, one phone is not going to be like another unless you get the same model, and if it's been more than a couple of years, the old model's probably long gone. I know that these two, not only are they 2 different models, they're 2 different brands. But do you like changing around a phone, a tablet, a computer? Go ahead and leave a comment and tell me what you think. Tell me your experiences of upgrading devices. And maybe next time we'll go ahead and talk about customer service, because that's a whole nother topic. Push the like button, subscribe, leave a comment. You know the routine. This is some old man signing off.